One of the reasons that your negative items are still on your credit report is because you're sending out the same thing, except for you're expecting different results. So that is why we're going over these advanced dispute tactics and we're breaking them up into little videos and we're going over each of these. Now, hey, guess what? You can go access this yourself. This is a playbook. You can see the link right down at the bottom of the screen. It's going to take you to this page right here. It is sendme2.co/tactics, where you can access this mini Bible. All right. Now, you can actually save $100 using this option right here on the right, all right? And that is going to be active until the timer runs out, and that's going to show at the top of the screen. Right now, I believe there's about 2.5 days left. I launched this yesterday, all right? So if you are tired of seeing the bureaus come back and say verified, 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 and you actually want to get to having that loan or that mortgage or the higher limit credit cards or just a better lifestyle. I mean, we all need good credit. Then check this out. All right. Otherwise, smash that like, subscribe if you haven't done so, and let's get to it. So, what are your options for disputing with the bureaus and the creditors and the collectors? Well, it's much more than just sending out one letter, and it's much more than sending out the same letter that the credit bureaus get 1.5 million times in a month, right? Because you have to understand that when you send them a template, they're going to send one right back. Why? Because they have them on deck. I mean, if these letters even threatened their system, trust and believe they would come up with something that would, it would make it so that you wouldn't be able to dispute. Okay, so there's many, many things that we can do, such as the squeaky wheel method. We went over that last night. That's going after the bureaus, the creditors, the collectors, making complaints, becoming a pain in the butt. Using the date verified method, the emissions tactic, letter from an attorney or prepaid legal, repeated MOV requests. That's method of verification. Letters to the corporate offices and board members. You need to start thinking outside the box, and when you do, you're going to see that it gives you the better chances of removing your negative items. Now, again, if you want to access this, the link is at the bottom of the screen, but the link at the top of the screen is going to take you to where you can schedule a call with me to see if I can do this for you, because I already know all of these tactics. I mean, hello, I created them. All right, so here you go. Specific dispute examples. Now, we went over this the other day, but we have the factual follow-up tactic. And that's my little boy, if you heard him right there. The SOL tactic, important notes for the SOL tactic. We have the emissions technique. And you know what? Let's go check out the emissions technique. The emission technique. So we are going to scroll down until we find this. Those are statute limitations per each state. Let's go find this omission technique. That's state attorney general method. And it's down here. All right. So look, let's start with the KO technique. And this is the proof of contract. We can actually use this for collectors. So the KO technique boils down to one thing. Is there a contract that obligates the consumer to pay the debt collector? Is there a contract between them? Usually the answer to the second question is no. But what about the first? If there's no contract directly between the consumer and the debt collector, then what obligates them to pay? The debt collector is a private company, right? So can they force the consumer to do business with them? Obviously not. So the consumer's obligation to pay or lack thereof depends on what the contract between the creditor and the collector looks like, and on what the original contract signed by the consumer with the creditor looks like. My recommendation when you're using this method is to ask for them to show you the evidence that there's a written relationship that obligates you to do business with them. All right. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But this is why we have multiple things that we can go over, such as the omission technique. So this is going to be with the collectors. So this technique applies to debt collectors. Most of the time, it's only applicable to paid collections, but on occasion there may be a reason to use it for an unpaid collection on which the consumer has been making payments, or for which a check has been sent but not cash. Right. So this is a technique to use when a consumer has accidentally paid a collection that they weren't required to pay. Right. So the account wasn't actually theirs, or when a consumer has been illegally coerced into paying a debt by way of illegal threats or other underhanded and illegal debt collection tactics. So you're going to want to check out the different FCRA and FDCPA violations. All right. So in this case of this technique, the omission is any fact not disclosed prior to a monetary transaction. All right. It's as if you were sold something and not told an important detail prior to the transaction. So the omission could cost you and may carry ethical and legal concerns for the seller. So In the case of a debt collector, the omission is going to be something they failed to notify the consumer of prior to taking payment from them. Normally, we consider it to be something that if the consumer had known about, they may not have paid, right? Such as, I don't know, maybe not deleting that account and having said that they would. This could be anything from the consumer's right to a validation request, to the amount of interest and fees added to a debt, to the failure of the collector to include the necessary disclosures in relation to their contracts with the consumer. One approach that consumers and credit repair professionals have used for this technique is combining it with the KO tactic and another effective collections technique, such as debt validation. So here's an example used successfully by consumers in the past, which uses the KO method. To whom it may concern, recently I paid an outstanding account with your company. However, according to my records, I may have mistakenly paid you. You see, for you to have standing to collect a debt from me, there must be a valid contract between your company and I. However, you do not disclose that I have a right under contract law to refuse to contract with you. Instead, your company relied on fraud by omission to induce me to pay. So fraud voids all contracts, implied or otherwise. Here's a solution to keep you out of trouble, though. Number one, refund my monies in full. Or number two, get reported for extortion. Or number three, delete any derogatory reporting to all three credit bureaus within 30 days. Consider which of these three options you'd prefer. If the account in question is not refunded or deleted from all three credit bureaus in 30 days, I will have no other choice but to pursue the issue further and become a big thorn in your side. Sincerely, Joe the consumer. Now, something similar is that can also be done through the BBB complaint or another, third-party consumer advocate, or you can even go to the CFPB. I mean, the key to success with this tactic is to highlight the omission on the part of the collector. Fraud by omission is a good phrase to have on hand. Combine it with another tactic that challenges the collector's legal standing or demands that they act on their legal obligations. So, another example recently submitted. This would be in conjunction with the KO method and the BBB, right? So we're not actually going to go over that one because it's pretty straightforward. It's about seizing all credit reporting and, send me written confirmation thereof, your approval barcode. But my entire point here is that you have so many different avenues that you can go after the bureaus and the creditors and the collectors with, and you need to stop, boxing yourself in. I mean, why do I get the results that I do? Well, the reason I get the results that I do, not only, it's because I use factual-based disputes and I know exactly what I'm looking for and why it should be reported the way that it is, but it's because I know that there's going to be a key and all I have to do is find that key that makes sense. And I try everything that I possibly can. Now, if you want to go and access this, you are literally going to access this entire thing. We have 4 different levels, and I would have to say that probably the most effective ones, the most effective tactics are going to be in level 4, right? So the factual follow-up tactic, all that we went over yesterday. When collectors fail to follow through with deletion, specific dispute examples for debt validation, HIPAA, all of that. Dealing with identity theft, missing information on reinserted item tactic, the blame game, angry educated consumer, multiple disputes per item, Joe the consumer, the multi-letter shuffle, repo 2-year 2-step. All of these different tactics that you're seeing on the screen right now are going to be the ones that remove your negative items from your credit report. And again, you can access it instantly at sendme2.co/tactics. Again, you have a couple of days to save $100 on the cash discount right here for just $97, all right? I do this when I launch a product, so you can either access it via PDF over here on the left, or you can access it this playbook right here for just $97, right? So if you don't want to do that, then hey, 1,200 videos going back 9 years that show you exactly how to remove these negative items. But otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful day. Go get to disputing, get to writing letters that actually impact and get results. But otherwise, have a great one. Smash that like again, subscribe if you want to increase your credit scores and remove your negative items. And otherwise, you can schedule a call with me. See if I can do this for you because, yeah, it's a lot of work. But hey, guess what? That lot of work is going to get you where you need to be, to financial freedom and having a second chance to make a first impression. All right. So that's it. Have a great one.